Hi. This is weird. Did I post anything last year? Nope. Am I going to be doing this again? Yeah. So welcome to my 2025 media roundup. I don't really know what I'm doing. Once again, this year I plan on doing my top 10, which is different from last year, which I only did top 5 plus a couple honorable mentions, which I'm also doing honorable mentions this year, but you'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I'm doing top 10s. To say this year has, or 2025 has been rough, is quite an understatement. Yeah, I'm going to be starting to go to therapy because of how bad it was. Yeah, so for this video, it's going to be split up into, of course, the different sections where I talk about the different games. If you look below, I included timestamps for everything, so it should be fairly easy to skip around, because fair warning, I'm going to be talking about things, and I'm going to be assuming that you've played them. So fair spoiler warning going ahead about everything I talk about. In the montage I'm showing, there are a couple spoilers inside of it, but it shouldn't be too big besides one of them, I might say. But anyways, yeah, so fair warning, spoiler warning on everything. You can scroll down to see like everything I talk about and what you should be concerned about. But other than that, you have been warned. So this year, I mean 2025, I played a total of 98 games. That is according to my backlog. So I don't know if I logged everything or not. If I did, 98 is correct. Of that 98, 13 of those I would describe as like games that have no endings, like for instance online multiplayer games like Arc Raiders, or games that just do not have a definitive ending. And then of that 98, 41 of those I did actually get to the credits on, and I got achievements in 15 of them. I do not know if that's correct. I'm pretty sure that is not correct. So I'm actually just gonna do this take again, but like just stay silent. I got all the achievements in 19 of them. And so without further ado, here are all the games that I would feel proud enough to say that I finished. So I included my ratings out of 10. So if that's all you can really care about, you can just look at the top and you'll see it. But yeah, let's go to the fun part.
It's coming to a close. I guess I should know that I'm never gonna see you again in a place that sells vintage clothes. I guess you should know that it hasn't been the easiest years for a band of living in the throes. And then I see a smile between repetitive aisles of flannel shirts, and I thought you would show like a beautiful ghost caught in a saving throw. And I don't even care. Coming to a, I guess I should know that the softer serif phase, the words remain as shown in the summer snow. Well, it hasn't been the easiest years in a life that hasn't let you go. And then I see a smile between repetitive aisles of well-worn dirt, and I thought you would show, I thought you would show, I thought you would show. And I don't even care that it's over, and I don't even care. is coming to a close. It's coming to a
So for my first game this year, I'm talking about the game The Chef's Shift. And so what better way to talk about a cooking game by making something. I'm gonna be baking some banana bread, so hopefully this works out. But anyways, that's my first step. I need to add butter. Released in March of this year and developed by Panitia, I don't know how to read that. Those people game dev. This is a typing game. Yeah, going in, I was very much sold on the gameplay idea almost immediately, where it's like you type to make, create, and serve food, and it was like really well executed. In like each of the different kitchens, they start you off with a couple items and then like slowly ramp it up until you're making several dishes at the same time to get orders out as fast as possible. And now for the fun part. I ended up finishing this game on just like normal difficulty, as that's usually how I like to start games, at least. And after I finished completing it, I was very curious on what the very hard difficulty was going to be. In normal difficulty, the words you needed to type were words like berry, cliff, what else? Word. Like very simple, like basically just 5-letter words. But on very hard difficulty, you need to write words like because, onomatopoeia, personality, because, like much longer words, which is really funny. But you're definitely going to feel that increased difficulty on like the later kitchens, as I ended up needing to like redo them several times, even on just normal difficulty. Something when I first started making this recipe, and this is also the first thing I've ever properly baked, I didn't know there was a difference between baking soda and baking powder. And so the second time I made this, I ended up using baking powder instead of soda. It actually ended up fine. And then I also didn't know there's a difference between tablespoon and teaspoon. I live in Asia, so we do not use those metrics. What is it? Imperial? So yeah, I was very confused when I first made this. But anyways, I've rewritten it, all of the recipe in like milliliters, so it's easier for me now. Yeah, I'm out of this. Do I have more? Yes, I do. Okay. And then vanilla. There was like a major part of this game, which is the story. It's genuinely took me off guard. I will say this, there is wild tonal whiplash in this game. Like you, from one moment are in like this nice cafe with all this like happy jolly music, and then the cutscene plays and there's two rival mafia families dueling it out over this town and a wedding that has gone wrong. Genuinely hilarious. The story for the most part is, yeah, like it's two rival mafia families and a wedding that fell apart due to the wedding gift, which was this like diamond necklace, got stolen by the character Lorenzo, who you initially play as. The reveals and plot twists were genuinely insane. One side of the mafia family is like drug dealers for this like thing called like happy paper, where it's like reveals your memories. And then like the other side is a lot more of a nicer, yeah, it's like genuinely insane, because like all of the cutscenes are done with like this chibi art style, and then like all the cutscenes, they just use like generic sound effects for like almost every action, so it almost just sounds like Johnny Test. It's really funny. Yeah, and then like once the cutscene is done, you immediately go into the like cafe with happy jolly music where you're just like trying to make some food, and it's just so funny. Can't get this banana open. Ooh, that's not exactly what I want. I did have the thought while like writing the script for this part to like actually pull out a whiteboard and like map out the entire story and like all the characters and how they relate to each other, but I had a thought while looking at like how long that I didn't really want to like slow this video down even more than it already is at like the 2-hour runtime I think it is at the moment, the last time I looked at my timeline. And then what also came to mind as I was writing this, it's like I really should have just made this entire video into like game specific ones, which is something I might do this year, 2026. We'll see, I don't really know, where it's like I just do one-off game reviews instead of like a big long massive thing like this. But yeah, instead of doing any of that, I'm instead like actually cooking something instead, so I'll hope that counts for something. Yeah, this game I wholeheartedly recommend. If you're a fan of like, I don't want to say stressful games, but I guess stressful games, I would highly recommend this game. And then I almost forgot my like secret ingredient. Marshmallows. Also, sorry if I sounded boring during this section. I kind of just woke up and I'm going to be going to work right after I finish baking this, so I'm tired is an understatement, to be honest. Final look before it goes into the oven, which is preheat. Oh my god, which is preheating right now. So yeah, banana bread done. Got back to the game at hand. Highly recommend it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's weirdly addicting. Make food, I guess. I'm gonna cut this because I really want to eat it now. Did he just say something? So released in November of 2023 and developed by Wonder Potion, Sanabi is a 2D platformer game with grappling hooks. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I went into this game largely because the gameplay just looked really fun, and I was about to go on this long trip and I really wanted some new games for my Switch, and so I saw it in the e-store, or whatever the shop is called, and then pretty much immediately bought it just because of the gameplay. So also, weird side note, my Nintendo eShop is completely in Chinese, so I couldn't even read the like description of the game if I wanted to. All I had was just the screenshots. Anyways, I really love like grappling hooks in games. There was another side note. I used to play this game called Floating Point, which was basically just like a grappling hook Spider-Man thing where you would just swing around blocks, and that was pretty much it. It was just like kind of like a physics game where you just try and build momentum, and that was quite literally it. I got that in 2014, which is 11 years ago. I guess it's 12 years ago now. My god. Anyway, sorry. And yeah, I would just periodically just open it, play for like 5-10 minutes, and then just close it. And then after re-downloading the game to just get some more footage, I really wanted to know what the dev is doing now. They actually released a game that is on my list to play this year. They released it in 2024 and it's called Tactical Breach Wizards, which kind of just blew me away that a dev is doing something. I guess that really just makes sense. A dev is making games, but yeah. Anyways, Sanabi, not made by the same person. Anyways, so when I saw this game where it's kind of the same mechanic as Floating Point, both like a cool art style and a plot, I pretty much bought it immediately, like I said. Now, if you read other reviews about this game, a lot of people will be saying the same thing. It is a plot-focused game. I did not know that when I started it, which kind of sucked at the beginning as I really just wanted to play the game, so I skipped all the dialogue. The game mechanics were my main draw to the game. That is until like a third of the way through when I actually started to pay attention to the plot, and I was genuinely blown away by it. To the point when the game ended, I was like actually crying. All the twists were incredible. There was all about one of the twists that I actually predicted, but that doesn't bring the game down in any way. I was actually very shocked at just how long the game is, which is partially why I started to pay attention to the plot. Once you finally hit the end of your goal to like find Sanabi, you're really funnily presented with a choice to either kill them and avenge your daughter or to go back and protect Mari. And it's very much a good/bad ending choice. The good ending it's like you're going up towards heaven and there's white light pouring through the doors, there's flowers growing all around it, and then the bad ending is pure red flashing lights. It goes down as if into hell, and you really like subtlety really is in there. But yeah, it's truly a 10 out of 10 game. I only really started paying attention specifically to the story after the worm boss fight. So if you play the game, you know where that is. I really don't know if I would recommend doing the same, as I was able to infer what has happened previously, but I actually don't know what was for certain said. So I would recommend actually trying the story from the beginning, because you probably get to see some foreshadowing that I'm not aware of, but highly recommend this game. You should play it. I would probably recommend playing it on PC, not on the Switch, because controls were a bit weird. I don't think it's a controller game, so play it on PC. Yeah, that was quick, and I did that in a good way. I woke up at 5 a.m. for this. It is now 6:30 a.m. and hopefully it's gonna look cool with the sun appearing behind me. Anyways, yeah, time loops as like a game mechanic is like really cool. Like, my god. Released in June of 2020 and developed by Mobius Digital, Outer Wilds is like a kind of mystery puzzle exploration game. Yeah, I think that's like the best way to describe it. Yeah, like I really don't know how I feel about this game. It made me feel a lot, but like I don't know how to put words to what I felt, if you get what I mean. At the end of the game, it kind of felt like there was no point in what you do. Like by the end, you kind of only have two options. I swear the beach wasn't this loud before. Can you capture it? Can you hear it? I don't think you can hear it. Hopefully you can't hear it. Yeah, like the two options you have at the end is like either letting this 22-minute time loop repeat for the rest of forever, I guess, which is like with that one character, I completely forgot their name. I'm gonna put them on screen. I forgot to check before I actually started recording. That's my bad. But like that one character who is also in this time loop, that's what they're doing. And then your other option is to just figure out what the eye of the universe is and like actually end the timeline, because the way to figure that out is you need to turn off the time looping thing. It's conflicting because like it kind of means that everything that you've done this entire time is kind of pointless, because your main drive for the game was to figure out how to stop the sun from exploding, because it seems like the sun station is like what is blowing up the sun. But when you finally go there, you find out that the sun station was actually to try and stop it from exploding, and that there is actually no hope, like it's going to happen anyways. And then you find out that it's like, oh, the entire universe is dying. And as you look out into the stars, you see all of this different stars in the backgrounds, they're also exploding. So it's like, I guess there's a time limit regardless, and it's a weird feeling. Yeah, and like after actually finishing the game and then also getting jump scared by like the anglerfish at the end, I guess you actually die at the end. Like that's how I interpreted it, and I'm pretty sure that's how you're meant to interpret it, because other option is there for you, you know? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, my main question like after finishing the game is, how did Soul live? Like how is she still around? Like from my understanding of like the game and like the game's history is like their species is like has long died out. Oh no, there was like some illness that hit everyone, but it's like, how did she live? Because like their species was around when the player's species was like still tadpoles, like still like pre-evolution tadpoles. Yeah, I really don't understand how it's like, like I wrote, is the ghost moon, which is like where she stays, like is that not like, is that out of time, or like the specific moon that she was at, which was the, oh, that made a fun sound, because she was at like the eye of the universe moon. So is that spot like out of time itself?
So I actually did more research on this. A complicated answer that isn't really explained in the game. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. But basically, because she's on the quantum moon, she's in this weird temporal scenario, given at the moment the core of the interloper ruptured, throwing out all of the ghost matter. She was technically present at all of the moon's possible locations all at the same time, which is why when you're on the quantum moon, you can find her corpse on all of the other moons except the one at the Eye of the Universe, because the Eye of the Universe was outside of the comet's destruction, and so that's the only place where she can be alive in. However, it doesn't fully explain why she's still alive after hundreds of thousands of years after the rest of her species has died. On the wiki page, it suggests that maybe time ceases to exist in that space. It could have been mere hours or even minutes since she landed from her perspective, due to the inconsistent and uncertain laws of physics at the Eye of the Universe. It could be that time has not actually passed at a conventional rate. But it's also weird that she acts as if it isn't surprising that she's meeting you. Anyways, she does say she might not be entirely alive in quotation mark, due to the fact that in 5 of the 6 possible realities in which she simultaneously exists. She is dead, but she doesn't actually elaborate further, and so it's just up to speculation for the most part.
I should have done more research for this, because like I'm very curious on why she's still around. Anyways, once I like actually figured out like the puzzle and like how to get to the eye of the universe, I then realized there was still like the DLC. Like I wanted to know how that took part in like the base game, so like I know what I should do first, like if I should finish the game or should I beat the DLC then beat the game. Like I didn't know what I should do. And then like after looking at Reddit, someone said finish the base game, then do the DLC, then finish the base game again. And so that's what I was going to do, but I have a curse with games where if I finish like the base game, I almost never actually return to the game to finish the DLC. I did start it, I played it for a bit, but like it didn't draw me in as hard as like the base game did. And so like I didn't finish it. That might change this year, maybe. I don't know. I didn't have that much of a draw to it as the first game, because the first game, like you had that draw to try and stop the sun from exploding, and it's like less so of a mystery and more so of a desperate ditch effort to survive. While in the DLC, it's just kind of, oh, there's this alien space station that isn't of like the other aliens that you see, and it's just been kind of watching this entire time, but also there's no one on board, so what's the deal there? But that's kind of all there is to it from my understanding. Maybe there's more to it. Like I did get kind of spoiled on parts of it where it's actually like you go into these dream sequences, but also these dream sequences are actually simulations and not magic. And so it's like that is really cool, but yeah, it didn't really call to me. So I don't know. Well, I guess that's like, that was all my notes. The DLC, it is cool to see that it expands the world a little bit by having like that creepy space station right there this entire time. And it took me a while to even figure out where the space station is. And then like after really looking at like the clues they give you, that's when I figured it out. But yeah, it's a really cool concept. It kind of just felt like a standard mystery game that leans into that 22-minute time limit, less so than a time loop where you need to do things within these 22 minutes across several locations. So it's like, it didn't have that same call to me. Because like in the base game, you have like several planets to discover, where in like one 22-minute time loop, you can at least explore 80% of a planet. Maybe only 50% for some. And so you need to like continuously throw your head at the wall, doing this time loop to try and figure out the best, most efficient way to get there, the most efficient way to get to where you need to go, etc., etc., etc. The DLC, it didn't call to me like that, because it's just one location. But yeah, like it didn't feel the same. Thumbs up. I don't remember what I rated it. I rated the game a 9 out of 10. I still stand by that. The DLC, I didn't finish it, so I'm not gonna rate it. If I finish it, I might come back and re-rate it, but yeah, 9 out of 10. It is a really good game. Besides the fact that it kind of spoiled the entire thing, you should go play it. Yeah, I somehow managed to play this game without getting spoiled, and like the game came out in 2020 and I played it in 2025, and I was like pretty much completely blind to the story, which is crazy to me, to be honest. But anyways, 9 out of 10. Thumbs up. Yeah. Hello. Um, I think it is very important to mention before I start talking about this next game, very big major trigger warning. This game, Laika Age Through Blood, deals with a lot of serious topics. The worst of it being extreme violence against a lot of people, including children. So that's the warning. Anyways, released in October of 2023 and developed by Brainwash Gang, Laika Age Through Blood is kind of a 2D platformer, Metroidvania shooter game. Yeah, it is a wonderfully violent game, beautifully drawn. It has a tragic story. It is set in this like post-apocalyptic, inspired by Mad Max setting. The art direction is really good. Yeah, this game, it does start with the crucifixion of your daughter's best friend. And not only was it a crucifixion, it was a crucifixion via the kid's own guts. So yeah, it is quite graphic, and it does show you this. And it is one of the biggest like holy shit moments in this game. And it really sells like essentially the genocide that you commit against the bird faction and like any bird sympathizers. Yeah, this is like a genuine amazing game throughout. Like the only part that I found really lacking was the boss fights. All of them had like an interesting concept. Is that a wasp? They were kind of lacking. I could see the concept for each of them and how they actually are pretty good concepts, but like the lack of like elaborate boss music just made a lot of them really boring, especially the Pope fight. That one, like the concept for that one is like the Pope, I guess, is the one who like lays all the bird eggs, and so it uses that against you by like laying these round eggs that starts bouncing around, and you need to shoot them, and then they start to split off into smaller chunks, and so you need to dodge all of that. Like, it is interesting. However, there being like no boss music, the way to win this is to just kind of sit in one spot and just shoot. It was kind of just boring, to be honest. The whole set piece leading up to that boss fight is one of the coolest in the game, in my opinion. It's someone that was a part of your faction, ultra religious, and decided to let herself become a slave to the church, so she can better serve the religion of it. And she essentially became a willing slave to this church until she one day hears about the plans to massacre the place we live. Against her better judgment, she decides to reach out and say, hey, this is about to happen. And so you go in to stop it. Your plan is to kill everyone. And she really disagrees with this, but she has no power. And so she ultimately decides to take her own life, knowing that she's the reason that killed the entire church. And then like the entire sequence of this is like, it's set in a pyramid, and you need to go through level by level, and you destroy support pillars, which brings it more down, which
gives you more paths upwards until you get all the way to the top to finally face the Pope after you take down all of the priests and you like actually drag their heads into like these retinal scanners to open more doors. It's like a very violent siege of this church that's set in a pyramid. And then when you finally get to the top, it's just the most boring boss fight. It's like, it was so close, but like yeah. Anyways, yeah, and then the same thing happened with like the lighthouse section. Like the setup once again was like this old whaler who I believe is like the only one who owns a boat has struck a deal with the birds. He's allowed to live as long as he helps move the birds to and from these locations. And you step in as you intercepted a radio transmission of one of the radio towers needs repairs, and so you first off you kill the actual repairman and you come in as a radio technician. The reason why you wanted to come here is there were reports that there was a thing inside the lighthouse, and so you want to get there to figure out what it is. And so you go in, you wreck shit up, you get a harpoon for the ferry so you can board all of these oil tankers, and then you destroy all the radio towers after this long segment, and then you finally get access to the lighthouse, and you get in, and it's like the thing is like this massive crab that like crawls up the tower that forces you to go more and more up the lighthouse. But once again, it's just boring. It's like it just crawls very slowly upwards. The pilot pops out, you shoot them in the head, and then it starts to go up again. It's like, it could have been a bit better because like I felt zero pressure during the boss fight. I died a couple times, not because of the actual fight itself, but because I was just rushing, because I was bored, and so I would just do too many backflips and end up killing myself. So yeah, the point I do want to make is that the boss fights honestly could do without them, or with like a greater rework on how they function in the game. My opinion is like just adding boss music would greatly improve it. That's like my only gripe with this game. Everything else though is incredible. The design of the game being like all hand-drawn sprites, the cutscenes that are fully animated, although they could be like extended just a tiny bit more, but also this is an indie game, so I don't want to drag it too much on things that are just a budget issue, I think. The soundtrack, which was made by the artist Baikoli, I think that's how you pronounce her name, who you actually kill in the game, which is really funny, is like wonderfully perfect, and like it fits the vibe of like a long road trip that you occasionally do a 720 backflip into a triple headshot with a sniper rifle. This game is like a Metroidvania, so you are driving around a lot. Having this soundtrack being one, diegetic, and two, fits the vibe of this long road trip, it works perfectly for this game. Like, talking about the soundtrack, I got the soundtrack on cassette tape. I meant to bring it with me, but I completely forgot to. I walked out the door at 5 a.m., so it slipped my mind. But anyways, yeah, the story was genuinely my favorite part of this game. Like I did tear up a little bit at the end. Laika goes into this final fight against like the commander-in-chief of the bird army, and knowing that she's about to lose all of her powers, and still goes into it choosing to sacrifice herself to save everyone in the place we live, powering through all the bullets that are like now hitting her, and she's feeling all of the pain that previously would just result in her respawning. Now she just has to power through it to destroy literal atom bomb that's being dropped
such a powerful sequence. But yeah, by the end, I was really hoping Laika would like turn around on like hating the birds as like the renegade leaders, which was like a bird faction that was like rebelling. They were helping Laika destroy the birds, but she still was firm in her hatred towards the birds. If you remember at the beginning, your daughter's best friend got crucified with their own guts, which something I forgot to mention is like the child that was crucified could not be older than like 12 years old. Like it is a child. The one who did that was a bird child soldier who did it to get respect. And after killing that kid, which, should I say that I killed a kid? I don't think I should say that. The entire game has a lot of these moments where it's like, at what point is the violence too much? So my camera died for the second time now, and then I started like kind of packing some things down that I didn't need, and then I found I had this that I was meant to be wearing, so I'm just going to be wearing it for this last bit. Anyways, yeah, like this game has a lot of moments that are just like pretty fucked up, but like in a good way, if you get what I mean. It really pushes the story forward, and it isn't just there just for the shock value. There are some moments I feel like it's just kind of shock value, but it still feels good enough that it's like that it's a big drive forward into completing the game. Yeah, there's this whole other side of this game about womanhood that I saw a lot of people online say that they really resonated with. As you can see, I'm probably not the best person to talk about womanhood in video games, so I'm instead just going to be linking a review that I think really highlights this side of the game. It's a review by someone named Bojangles IV on Backlogged. They described the game not as like a video game, but as a vent piece, which I wholeheartedly agree with. It really did change my perspective on how I should treat this game, because it is like a little rough around the edges, but when you take it into perspective that it's a vent piece, it makes a lot more sense on some of the decisions that were made. Anyways, good game, 8 out of 10. I wholeheartedly recommend this game. Do take the, what's it called? The content warnings, take them seriously. But yeah, thumbs up. Please, camera, don't die for a 4th time. Honestly, I'm really hoping that the audio is gonna be okay. Released in September of 2019 and developed by Small Boo and Pillow Fight. That should be what the developer's name is. This is a visual novel, I guess. I don't really know how to describe what this game is. Whoa, birds just like flew in right over here. Anyways, yeah, this game genuinely is amazing and charming. Like, there's only one thing that I was like, quote unquote, spoiled on while playing this, which is the card scam artist. And I think I saw that from Germa.
See here? Keep your eyes on the lady. Where's she gonna go? Where's she gonna go? I got it. That was easy. Oh, Bodo, don't be feeling too bad. Ain't nobody can... What?
But I'm so glad I went into this game as blind as I did, which is why I'm gonna say you should just go and play this game. Ignore everything I'm about to say. Just close it, play this game, and then go on. So yeah, you should do that now. There's a bird walking up to me right now. That's really funny. Anyways, my favorite, I guess, bit in this game was, or like the favorite character you meet was Knife, whose minigame is a fake dating sim where Knife asks you to help him practice going on a date, and then he ends up actually just falling in love with you, which is just, it's very cute and very funny because it fully changes the art style of the game.
It caught me off guard again.
Just for this small section, and then at the end of it, he ends up calling off his real date and instead asks you out, which I just find so funny, considering the context of you playing as an assassin hired to kill his nephew. Anyways, really funny. Talking about the character you're playing as, the ending of this game took me off guard several times. The first time, I really thought they were going to go down the route of actually murdering Pat, and then I was very surprised that they didn't. And then after I played it a second time to collect more of the characters I missed the first time, I was very surprised that they did in fact go down the route of murdering Pat. And then I was surprised a third time, although I wasn't really surprised this third time. The assassin has a change of heart and actually saves Pat after trying to murder him. Really funny. And then at the very end, Pat then recounts how this happened in the first place and why you're there to begin with, and how he accidentally got a hit set onto himself. Really stupid, but I genuinely love this game. I love the game and like the entire experience. I totally did not look at a 100% guide just so I can find out where all the puzzle pieces are so I can get the 100% achievements. Anyways, after I fully finished the game and got to the credits, I was jump scared by Neil Cicierega, which if you don't know who that is, it's impossible to describe who he is, but it totally makes sense that he was a part of this game. But anyways, 10 out of 10, would date Knife, thumbs up. So, this is weird. I don't know how much of this is going to be useful. You might be wondering why I'm in the exact same location after just finishing the last one. I'm actually talking about the next game, which is Sheepy, A Short Adventure. I really had no idea where to be for this one, so I just decided it would be really funny to just be in the exact same spot but run as far away from the camera as possible. So anyways, released in February of 2024 and developed by Mr. Suicide Sheep. That is very much a name. But anyways, genuinely, what the hell? This game is amazing. I really hope the developer decides to, the water's like getting into my eye. This is really weird. I really hope the developer goes in and like makes something longer, because genuinely, this game is amazing. It's like, it's so much fun. It's has a beautiful design. The pixel art, the gameplay, the animations, everything was incredible. But there's only one bad thing I can say about this game, and it is kind of in the name of it. It's called Sheepy, A Short Adventure. So I really can't be that mad because it does advertise it as such. But there is a very important thing about this game that I haven't mentioned yet, is that it's free. Like, you can just download it for free. It's only like an hour long, so like I'm actually just gonna stop talking and you just go play it. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Go play it. It's a 10 out of 10. It made my top 5, so that should say something. So anyways, take number 2. Ha 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 ha. I never know how to start these. Released in October of 2022 and developed by Rose Engine, Signalis is a Resident Evil inspired psychological horror game. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this game other than like the gameplay was fantastic, the sound design blew me away, the art direction, crazy, the horror beat horrifying, and like the story really blew me away. I don't feel qualified enough to talk about the story other than you should watch other people talk about the story. I'm actually going to recommend a video to watch after this if you're interested in this game. It throws a fake ending at you, which really caught me off guard. After like hitting this specific point in the game, I genuinely thought that was the end of the game, but like the only thing that made me realize it wasn't was like the title, like the main title screen was completely different than every other time. So I decided to just like hit continue just to see what would happen. I tend to do that after I finish games, just in case there's like some extra hidden thing at the end. And I'm very glad I did that because the sequence that follows this genuinely like mind-breakingly good, as did the final boss fight, which I almost cleared on my first try, but like on the final phase I died, so I had to do it again. But I don't regret it because that fight was actually really cool. And I'm also debating playing this game again just to get those 2 achievements I think that I missed. And hint, I did not do this, so who knows if I will actually go back to get those achievements. Anyways, I do find the use of like mixing perspectives in this game really fascinating. Like the game for the most part is this isometric locked top-down view throughout the entire game, but then it breaks that by going into first person, almost like point and click adventure type, which is really creepy for this game, that it like completely breaks the camera for it. Yeah, it really just creeped me the hell out. This was a game that I was interested enough to not watch YouTube videos on, as in like not get spoiled on it, but I never really had the motivation to actually play it. That is until 3 different YouTube channels that I watch regularly, 3 different YouTube channels all posted a video about it all at the same time, which kind of pushed me into actually starting up the game and finishing it so I can watch these 3 YouTube videos. But whatever gets me to start games in my backlog, I guess. If you do want like a good recommendation on a YouTube video or a multi-hour long video essay about this game, I would recommend the one by Bean Buddy titled "The Most Depressing Horror Game Ever Made." This game was an easy 10 out of 10 for me. This is one of those games where I'm surprised I haven't played it yet, considering how much talk there is about this game. But anyways, I highly recommend you should go play it or replay it or whatever you think is right. Anyways, thumbs up. Bye. I don't know what it's called, the thing. I don't have it, so.
Wow, it is echoey in here. Damn, I did not think about how echoey it is going to be in here. Released August of 2020 and developed by Remedy Entertainment, Control is a third-person horror-ish, supernatural horror game. I just said horror twice, but this has been sitting in my backlog genuinely for ages. Like pretty much since like 2020. When I finally played Alan Wake, the first one, I decided I would follow it with Control before going on to Alan Wake 2. At the time of writing, I thought it was going to be very hard for Alan Wake 2 to beat the expectations I have of it now after finishing Control. If you have noticed, I haven't talked about Alan Wake yet, so you can kind of guess what's going to be later on in the video. Yeah, I genuinely think this game is perfect. If you ignore the graphics issue and the occasional stuttering that I ended up just ignoring by like the 20th hour, to actually go into a little bit more detail about what I mean by the graphics issue, like textures just wouldn't load at a normal rate. When there's like important textures I need to read, I needed to like pause the game for a while to let it load just so I can read the sign. But anyways, yeah, the gameplay was incredible. All the guns, they felt and more importantly, sounded perfect. The ammo being like this refilling meter means that you needed to actually stop shooting and then you need to like start leapfrogging with using your abilities. So you're like jumping back and forth between your service weapon and then your abilities, letting the other refill. It just felt so well designed. I did get mad at times during the boss fights, but the issue I was facing was I never actually paid attention to my health. My health would end up being right above the screen goes red because my health is low. So I ended up thinking I was getting one shot by when I was at like 70% health, when in reality I was probably like 30% or whatever. Anyways, the whole concept of this game pretty much just being the SCP Foundation, but with cosmic and mental things happening, and it was genuinely fascinating, and I really wish there were more media exploring like the government body containing and categorizing anomalous materials, but I think this is more so a call to myself to like read those SCP stories, but they're like fully fleshed out basically novels. The real question is, at the time of writing, is if I wanted to go through and 100% the game, or just like a loose 100% of like all the missions, as I don't really know or want to know how many notes I missed this game. With that being said, I didn't do that. I kind of just ended where I ended it. But also, I think this is the first game that I actually read every single note I picked up. This game really made collectible notes something that makes a lot of sense in universe, and it like really helped expand the universe for me, like the in-game universe and all the story and lore and all that stuff. Yeah, I guess that is the point of readable notes in games, but I hope you understand what I mean. And like it's not like Deus Ex where it's just emails from two different office workers in a building you really do not care about, or in Skyrim where there's just so many books that like who in their right mind would read all of them and make a book report about them besides Brian David Gilbert? Where am I looking? I really hope I'm in focus. I should be, but I don't actually know for certain. Anyways, this kind of became a rant. No clue what point I was making, but Control, like the game really wants me. I really want to see what normal is within the bureau, like the office that had like a billion sticky notes all over the place, and then a correspondence note that says something like, something made a duplicate uncontrollably, so they're just gonna start working from home. That is just really funny. That specific
instance was actually elaborated upon in the co-op shooter spin-off FBC Firebreak, where it's the anomaly you fight along with the hiss. But I'm actually going to tag the spin-off into this part, as I actually really enjoyed that, but I'm kind of remedy pilled at this point. Yeah, it was really cool seeing the world get expanded further by seeing it through the eyes of like a basic agent of the FBC. Really cool. And also them changing your perspective from that traditional third person that they all do to first person. And that really sells that feeling that the entire thing is out of control and you're really just like out of your depth. As all the other games that Remedy made, including Alan Wake and the second game, is in this, which is also in the same universe. All of them are in third person. Unfortunately, this is kind of as far as I can go praising this game, FBC Firebreak, making sure that's said. It is genuinely just lacking in content to be worth full price. I did get it on like a 50% sale, and I did get a good 7 to 8 hours worth of fun. And if you and like 2 other people are looking for a game to play for a little bit, I would recommend it. But if you are like myself and just play by yourself, sad, I wouldn't, as this game is pretty much dead. You will not be able to find anyone else playing it. It is soloable, like you can play it by yourself, but it will be very difficult, especially when you do not have all the unlocks. But anyways, back to the main game. Control, 9 out of 10. If this game has been on your backlog for a while, just play it. I received it for free on like both Epic Games and GOG. So if you're like me and like just collect any and all free games that come your way, you likely have this game already. It also was like just on sale for like $5 US on like the Christmas sale or like the winter sale on Steam. So for that price, it genuinely is a no-brainer. Like, I only had one gripe with this game, which is like, if the game just ran a little bit smoother with the textures loading in at a normal rate, then this would easily be a 10 out of 10. But yeah.
Oh.
Hello. I heard someone in the woods right there. That was scary. Imagine going through a road trip through the stalker exclusion zone. That is pretty much this game. Released in February of 2024 and developed by Ironwood Studios, Pacific Drive is like an almost roguelike extraction, exploration, survival horror game. A lot of the games I'm playing are like a mix of a lot of genres. And now that I'm like, well, now it's 2026, this game for pretty much the entirety of 2025, it was at the #1 spot. It's definitely the game I had the most fun with. I'm usually someone who dislikes survival games, like for instance, Minecraft, Raft, Void Train, which was something I played this year. This game really hit the roguelike randomness with like, I'm fully arguing for like the extraction, not shooter aspect of the game, where you're constantly building towards these long-term goals of like improving your station wagon to face a stronger zone as you go deeper and deeper into the zone. And that just like really hit the spot for me. I spent a good amount of time in this game just messing with the photo mode, just taking photos of my car. There's a car coming up. That's a bus. Let's wait a second. Like you can kind of like, you can see it go into the mountain. So the location is cool. There's just too many cars that pass by. I did spend a good amount of time in this game just messing with the photo mode, like taking photos of my car in the environments or just in the gorgeous environments. might I add, the vibes truly were immaculate. I learned that word recently, immaculate. The vibes are made even greater with the incredible feature of being able to import your own songs into your car's radio pool. Meaning any song that you have locally downloaded on your computer, you can have it just play on the radio. Almost 90% of my clips from this game are playing copyrighted music, so that's gonna be fun in the edit. Yeah, that feature alone bumped this game from like an initial 8 out of 10 to an immediate 10 out of 10. The game, despite being advertised as like a horror game, was shockingly cozy. I would spend a large amount of time just in the workshop, messing with the paints and decals, upgrading things, researching things on the table, crafting, planning my next route, all while like blasting music through the radio. Yeah, I would spend just a lot of time just in the workshop. I don't remember off the top of my head how much hours I have in this game. I think it's around 80. Let me check. Yeah, I have 86 hours in this game. And I can guarantee you at least half of those hours, probably more than half of those hours, are just in the workshop alone. Yeah, the anomalies you face throughout the game and your expeditions, they vary widely with like the beloved, what's his name? I didn't write down the actual name, but the dumpster who just spits loot out at you every time you interact with it. My actual personal favorite, the tourists, which are essentially weeping angels. If you're not looking at them, they move towards you. And for these ones, if you hit them with your car, they explode. But yeah, they generally were my favorite because I found out that if you are just like on foot and you run into them, they just bounce off you, and it's really funny. And then they also, this is an asterisk because it has happened before where a tourist wasn't present, but I believe tourists can throw loot at you to distract you. The craziest of them being one of them threw a stable anchor at me, which stable anchor is the tier 1 of 3 of like the most important resource that you need to gather throughout the game. Them throwing like one of the most important resources at me caught me very much off guard, because usually they just throw like plastics and like metal resources for crafting at you. One time they threw a flare gun at me, but it's kind of crazy for them to throw a stable anchor. Anyways, yeah, the story, it's decent. That's one of the reasons why I would initially say it's an 8 out of 10, is like the story, it serves its purpose. You follow 3 characters plus yourself as the driver protagonist. To kind of go into the story a little bit before introducing the characters, you play as like a delivery driver who just so happens, unluckily, to be delivering something nearby this exclusion zone. An anomaly pulls you into it, and then that's kind of how the game starts. And so this story is pretty much you, the driver, being a vehicle for these 3 other characters to resolve their own stories. So the 3 characters are Oppie, who's a head scientist at Arda, who is the owner of the garage/workshop that you find yourself living in now. And then there's Tobias, who is a former scientist at Arda, and who is the romantic partner of Francis, a conspiracy theorist, being proven right within the zone. Yeah, like the main story of this, the 3 of them are trying to find a way to sever your connection with a remnant, which just so happens to be the station wagon that you find yourself forced to use. The reason why you want to sever this connection is because the longer you're connected to it, the more you go insane. I do have like an asterisk at this point. I'm going off script. I wish they pushed that side of it a little bit more. The fact that the longer you're connected to it, the more you actually like go insane. I wish they pushed that narrative like a little bit more, because I played for 86 hours, including the DLC. No point does the game really show you that progress of going insane. So I'm like, that's kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion. Yeah, the reveals throughout the game are really cool. Like each step you make deeper into the zone feels massive. However, it is much more like a side dish to the main course that is like the gameplay. However, it does like pull its weight throughout the game with a very surreal sequence at the end of the road. The single issue I had with this game, besides like small minor things about the story, like my only actual issue with the game itself is the light sources just felt way too bright. Like I would find myself not using lights because they would end up blinding me instead of just helping me see around. Like I wish there was like a setting to adjust how powerful they were, but if there was one, I did not see it. I would often just not use a light, which kind of sucks because at sometimes the game is too dark. Like there's an overall issue with the game of brightness. I did see people online comment about the game just being too dark, which I did not experience at all. Like it was never that big of an issue for me where I felt the need to get car light upgrades, like the side lights, or you could get a top light that like tracks you around, giving you a spotlight. Like I never felt the need to do that. I do wish there was an offhand flashlight or like a headlight. I meant to be wearing this, but a headlight would be a nice addition. Anyhow, genuinely this game is a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it. However, it's probably not for everyone, but yeah, 10 out of 10. And so I would normally finish the segment here. I just recommended the game, gave my review, gave my rating. Bro, just like flashed me 5 times. So yeah, like I finished the game in June. However, I would open the game occasionally because I really liked it, and just to do a couple runs to help grind out the achievements. Then fast forward to October, they announced a new DLC for the game, which is Whispers in the Woods. It should be mentioned how much I enjoyed this game, that it broke my never coming back to a game after I finished, because I came back and finished the DLC. Unfortunately, I do have mixed feelings about the DLC. There's a good amount to love inside the DLC, and the other amount is just kind of meh. Kind of in a similar fashion to the base game. The added gameplay elements I really enjoyed, but the story is just kind of not there. The story truly is just a miss in this. Like we do play as like a silent protagonist. Our player character does not talk at all throughout the game, but I think it would work a little bit better, like the DLC story, if Tobias would fill in occasionally to like tell us what we're supposed to be feeling, because a lot of it is just hearing a monologue and that's all there is. And so I'm like I wish it was like a tiny bit more, you know? The entire time I kind of just let the shepherd yap as I was doing other things. And then when it came down to the 7th reel, which is the final one, he starts to go off about how the driver is like the final piece in the puzzle of the rituals that they were trying to do. And then he just steals our car, which I'm like, what? Where did this come from? I wasn't paying attention, but it's like, why, how, what, huh? I do wonder if there's like a separate ending where if we let the shepherd do his thing, what would happen? But I'm not letting him touch my car. I have an emotional attachment to the hunk of junk station wagon. So anyways, talking about that, it is really cool to see them do like a boss fight in this game, because for like the entire game, there's no real enemy, like there's nothing really trying to kill you. It's just a lot of creepy ambience with like the environment trying to kill you. So I do think that in this case there needed to be like a second phase to this fight. I noticed that there was like these deer, like the deer faced ghost apparitions were all in the sky watching. It would be cool if we needed to like use a flare gun to like shoot them out of the sky. I understand why they didn't, because there's no way for them to enforce you to having a flare gun in the fight. However, like once again, if we had Tobias present, maybe he would be able to, they could have done like a cool double reveal of showing another human, because you don't see another human in the game. So it could have been like a Tobias somehow manages to get to you and like gives you flare gun so you can finish the fight. I understand why they didn't do that as well, but like what they could have done instead is like have the cultists, because they set up shop in your garage, they could have brought flare guns, and so you could have made use of theirs. Like there's stuff they could have done that would just push it a little bit more, but yeah, you got the idea. The new anomalies added were actually my favorite, like the massive tentacle shadow monster, the Maw, is genuinely terrifying, if it wasn't so easy to avoid. There was a moment in Reel 6 where you need a fully harmonic car, which is like the cult energy you need to use for like this part of the game. I had like 3 of those Maws chasing me, and my car was barely functioning. All of my parts were like in the red. I was basically running on fumes. The car was barely functioning. I was kind of just out of luck. And so I was just hoping and praying, going as fast as I can as my car is actively falling apart, trying to get as much distance away from the Maws as possible, and so I can open up the gateway and just get out. I was genuinely shitting myself. But yeah, I wish they added like more actively hostile anomalies, because this DLC was designed to be like the bigger horror side of it. And I do agree that the vibes of like the cult aspect of it really do sell the horror. And like them messing with the radio more, I have mixed feelings about that, to be honest, but I understand why they do it. As like, there's that one meme, I'm just gonna put it up, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's like that really can happen with the DLC, where the songs you added can like completely destroy the vibes they're trying to create. So them messing with the radio, it pushes you into turning it off. So like, yeah, because it does let the creepy ambience really creep in. However, I do wish they added like maybe 1 or 2 more anomalies that like actively hunt you down, because it's kind of just the Maw that does that. An idea that I had was with the Pilgrims, which is like a modified tourist from the base game. They hold on to these chests right next to the altars that contain a lot of loot. I had the thought of, after you loot those chests, they then become like ultra aggressive. I think that would really work, because then you need to gamble how much chests do you open and how much can you manage, because like having a flare kind of nullifies them because it will chase the flare, so they're easily counterable. Yeah, like the massive pilgrims that hold on to like the souvenirs, those ones were the ones that who like actually kind of did what I described, but they only did it 2 times, and both times terrified me. But like in my 30 to 40-ish hours, I'm not sure exactly, yeah, it only happened twice. I'm kind of going harsh on the DLC. It does do a lot right. Like the added relics that kind of have this, it really pushes the roguelike-ness of the game by like having all of them have pros and cons to if you're holding onto them. Like for instance, one of them was every time you jump, the car will honk. One of them is like if you're facing north, your harmonic energy increases, which that one was really good. However, the more of those you have, it actually drives your like red danger meter up faster, which means the faster that goes up, once it hits max, the Maws start chasing you. So it's like you really need to weigh your options. Really awesome design choice with that. With the relics, they include like this oven that you can put your unwanted relics in, and it will break it down into harmonic parts. There's also a car gadget that you can put in, which is kind of like this, kind of like a cooler basically, where you can put your relics inside of it, and any modifier that relic will have will be disabled. As all of your runs, you are required to bring a couple relics on them. Being able to bring relics that you already do not want and nullify their effects, really good. So like there's 2 different ways to get rid of relics you do not want. As also very important to mention is on all of your runs, you need to give up a certain amount of relics to even open the gateway to leave and like get back to your workshop. So it's like really good design choice with the relics. Really nice. I already mentioned it, but like the massive blob tentacle monster, the Maw, genuinely terrifying. The pilgrims, very biased against them because the tourists were my favorite in the base game. So of course I'm gonna love the pilgrims when they actively give you more loot. So yeah, anyways, I just really wish they added just like that tiny bit more. Like the story wise, I felt like the length was perfect. I just wish it was like I said previously, I just wish they modified it a little bit more. I kind of wish it wasn't just like the normal maps you play, but there's creepy statues all around. If they added cult-specific buildings that only contained like harmonic-specific loot, because I always found myself not having enough harmonic components. Anyways, and like also having more anomalies that actively hunt you down, that also would be really good. But yeah. Anyways, overall, it's a 7 out of 10 DLC for the 10 out of 10 game. Anyways, thumbs up. I'm done. We're going on to honorable mentions. Before I reveal my number 1, there were actually so many games that I played. As you heard at the beginning, 98 games I played this year. And that's kind of why I made this a top 10 instead of my top 5 that I did last year, just because I really wanted to talk about some of these. I'm kind of breaking my rule. Last year I only did 3. This year I'm doing 4 honorable mentions. So I'm technically talking about 14 games, but these ones are just quick. I'm just going to read off my notes for the most part. Games I'm going to be talking about are The Falconeer, Slime Rancher 2, and Enna Dream Barbecue. The Falconeer, really fun game, almost made my top 10. It was on my top 10 for the majority of the year because this was one of the first games I finished, but it was pushed out by Alan Wake. Kind of a spoiler alert, I guess. I am a huge fan of like airplane dogfights in games, so I was going to be a fan of this regardless. And like after getting the controls down, it easily was a lot of fun. I gave it an 8 out of 10 after playing it. My honest like only gripe is it felt kind of too easy. Like by the end, like I pretty much had the best gun, I had the best bird, I had like all the upgrades, so all the fights became like very easy, which I guess I could have like downgraded myself because that is pretty easy to do, and like give myself an actual challenge. But I really don't like it when I need to impose limitations upon myself to feel challenged. So yeah, like I only died a total of 3 times in the 11 hours I played, and it was all from like the freebooters faction when I first encountered them, and then after I figured out how to fight against them, it became super easy afterwards. Something about this game is that it has a lot of like escort missions, like the ones where you need to follow behind someone that is faster than your walking speed but slower than your running speed, like that type of escort mission, which is annoying, but I still had a lot of fun with those missions with this game. I know a lot of people won't, but I kind of liked the role-playing aspect, I guess. This game is definitely not for everyone. It is very repetitive. Like each chapter is pretty much copy-pasted with different context, but like the missions themselves are exactly the same. But I did really like the story. Kind of a pun, but it gives you a bird's-eye view of this entire conflict of the nation. Really funny metaphor. I'm good at writing. You shift perspectives throughout the game, where you start off as like the royal guard entrusted with protecting the queen or the empress, and then shift perspectives into like a lowly villager in the small fisherman town, and then you slowly build yourself back up, going to all the different factions, finally getting back to the royal guard and trusting with getting the empress's body out of like this entire region. Is like, I've never seen it done this way before, so I found it really cool. But anyways, there is like a pretty cool twist that they do at the end, which I'm not gonna say, because if you like that twist, you should consider playing it. Anyways, 8 out of 10, thumbs up. Next game, Slime Rancher 2. I really love the Slime Rancher games, but I do kind of just play them as like a background game, where I just kind of shut my brain off and like put on my watch later queue on YouTube, and then kind of just do menial background tasks in the game, like stocking up the corals, farm, sell plorts, go out and explore a little bit, but like that's kind of all I do. I 100% all of the achievements in the first one, and so when the 1.0 version came out this year, which added the achievements to Slime Rancher 2, that was my goal. Did it take me 53 hours to get to that point? Yes. Do I regret spending that much time just getting the achievements? Not really. I could have been more efficient at times, but I was just kind of playing casually until like the last 2 weeks, when I just really wanted to finish the game before the year ended. It is like a farming game, so if that isn't your cup of tea, then it's kind of not for you. It is also a very grindy game. Like to farm resources, to get upgrades and other gadgets needed to like progress, it's quite a lot, to be honest, because like all of the resources you need in the first game, you had options with these like drills and like miners and all these other things that help you get the resources you need to progress, that you can place in all the regions that will give region specific resources. This game does not have that, and you need to go out by yourself to all of the different regions to find that specific loot, which does take a lot of time. So if you do play this game, you should always pick up Silky Sand and the honey, because you will pretty much always need that. So that's my one tip for you. Anyways, good game. 8 out of 10. Thumbs up. So my footage got recorded after filming those two. So I'm in a new location. So next one, Dream Barbecue and a Dream Barbecue. I truly do not know how to describe this game like at all. It is one of my like favorite genres of games where you genuinely have no idea what's going on at any point. It's free. Just go play it. It's about an hour or two. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I literally have no idea how to describe this. Just go play it. So I lied about only being 3 honorable mentions. I really wanted to include just one more game, as this one is I don't really know. It's an 8 out of 10 game for me, but this really isn't why I'm mentioning this game. I played this game back in June, and I remember talking to my parents about it, saying it's a really cool gameplay mechanic, where the main puzzle throughout the entire game is to learn the language. And it is really cool, actually. As someone who grew up abroad, this is actually how I ended up learning a lot of things. And so I really enjoyed it. It felt special to me. So fast forward to about September, I think, the developers ported the game to mobile, like your phone, and without knowing, later in November, when my dad was admitted to the ICU where he would later pass away, he downloaded this game and started playing it. He didn't actually get that far into the game, as pretty quickly afterwards he would be intubated and put under heavy general anesthesia, meaning he was barely conscious. So we had to take all of his belongings home. And later, after he passed, we were going through his phone, mostly just trying to deal with banks and all of that stuff. I, for some reason, decided to look into the Apple Arcade because he has a subscription with that. And I saw that this game was in the continue playing section. So that's how I know he played it. However, kind of funnily, I decided to click on it to just see where he was, because I can see from the achievements that he really didn't get that far. The point where he stopped playing was actually as far as the free version goes. But he wasn't really a gamer, so I wonder if he decided to keep playing, what his opinions of it were going to be. Yeah, he didn't actually play it. Anyways, that's enough depression for myself. Yeah, I guess let's check out what's happening at number 1.
Previously on Night Springs, Ben has gone through his top 9 and his honorable mentions. As we hit an hour 30 into this video, he later finds himself climbing up a mountain. Will he get to the peak and finish this video, or will he be another lost soul among those at Night Springs?
Release of May of 2010 and developed by Remedy Entertainment, Alan Wake is a definitely of its time action horror game. This has been on my backlog genuinely for ages, and I only actually played this because I wanted to play Control. The only thing I knew of this game was that the world of Control and Alan Wake were connected in some way, but other than that, I was completely blind. And I was completely shocked while playing it. I loved the story. The delightfully 2010s dialogue was just perfect. I played on hard difficulty, and the gameplay was all right. It wasn't crazy. There was, yeah, I wasn't really sold on the gameplay. There was some exciting encounters at some points where I was fully surrounded by Taken, and I needed to make split-second decisions of like which enemy to focus on or how do I escape the situation altogether. However, when it came to fighting, it just regularly became stale as I ended up learning how much bullets each enemy took, because each enemy, the fast-moving ones, they only take 2 bullets, the normal ones, they only take 3 bullets, and then the big ones with the big hammers, those ones take 6 bullets. So it would just be a case of shoot 2, 3, or 6 times and then move on to the next one. However, to counter what I just said, by the end, knowing how much bullets each enemy takes does make it interesting in a new way, as it then makes each encounter a math problem, as each reload only gives you 6 bullets, so you really need to make sure those 6 bullets count. But then to kind of counterpoint my counterpoint, it did end up making it quite stale as and then like it really lowered the stakes, and then also like the entire horror element of the game, as every encounter ended up becoming like solved in my head, as I knew I should always focus on the fast moving 2-hit enemies and then focus on the 3-hit enemies, and then finally I can focus on the 6-hit enemies that are slow. And so that's how I ended up with every fight. I'll be honest, I didn't even know you could like speed up your reloading by like spamming R, because in all of the encounters, the reload speed was never an issue, as I would always put enough distance between me and the enemy. So I don't know. Now, it does sound like I'm just kind of dogging the game, but the real reason why this is at the #1 spot is the story. Genuinely blew me away. My favorite part is just how the game framed itself by using these, at the start of every chapter, they would put a previously on Alan Wake and give you like a quick recap of what just happened. And then also at the end of each chapter, they would put these like fake credits with like new music every time that kind of fits the mood of like what just happened. It really framed itself as like a TV show, which really, like that framing really lent itself perfectly with the story, as throughout the game, you really do not know if what's happening is a hallucination or if it's like, or if it's like actually happening. Nearing like the end of the game, when Alan Wake gets taken to the clinic, I don't remember what it's called, but you know what I mean. At the clinic, it really feels like they're like pulling the rug and saying, no, everything that's happening is a hallucination and it's all in the head, which I was gonna be really sad if they did that. And then just all hell breaks loose at night, saying that, no, this is actually happening and it's actually killing people. But the thing I genuinely found the coolest were the manuscript pages, because like that being an in-universe collectible item that literally tells you the script of what's happening, genuinely insane. I could go heavy into the story, but I don't really think I have the time for it. But it's like Alan Wake being right. Alan Wake being like a writer who is like who gets like trapped in the dark place, and he ends up losing a week, and then you start in a car accident, and you're trying to find your way back and trying to find Alice, and like genuinely insane. Like I really wish I could get into the story. I wish I could get into the story more, but I don't think I have the time.
Released in 2023 and also developed by Remedy Entertainment, Alan Wake 2 is the 10 years later sequel to the original. And sorry for swearing, but holy fucking shit. My God, this game is incredible. This was a last minute contender for my favorite game I played this year and genuinely blew me away. I have a lot of thoughts about this game, and I genuinely have no clue on where to start. What I will say is I loved the story so much, and like how much it influenced the design of the game, and how the game design influenced the story, and then how the story then influenced the game design by breaking the mechanics it teaches you. It's like genuinely incredible. I think my favorite part of the game was actually the story with Saga Anderson, the second protagonist of this game, where she's the hero in Alan Wake's story, his horror story, and then being able to shift perspectives and play as Alan Wake in the dark place, and then how the story is influencing both of them in the two different locations. It's like, it messed with my head so much, and like, my jaw was on the floor at the end, like putting two and two together. It honestly kind of felt like the movie Tenet, where it's like things in the past are now, or no, things in the future are influencing things in the past, and then things are happening in like tandem together. It was just genuinely, yeah. I loved how they stylized the world differently between Saga and Alan, where like Saga's world felt significantly more realistic with like how they did the lighting, how they did the textures, how they did all of the effects, and like the Taken, they all looked like just genuine dead bodies and like pretty much zombies. And then like the world being slightly more open world than you would expect, being able to explore the map on your own in between cases. And then with Alan, gets this much more oppressing feel where everything is in darkness. Everything is like streaks of darkness flowing over all of the world. And then the Taken being like actual shadows that you can see through with like those heavy darkness streaks, like almost blurring their identity until you like shine your flashlight through them, and then that's when they actually take form. And then it makes it impossible to know if they're actually real or not. And then the game also being significantly more like railed as an experience for Alan, besides kind of like the courtyard area, which kind of just acts like the hub in between the different cases or like story inspirations, which stood in like stark contrast to Saga's, where it was fully kind of open world, where there's entire sections of the map that you simply do not explore as part of the story. And then the overt tie-in to the FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control, was also amazing. Something I said when I talked about Control, if you remember, was I really wanted to see what normal looks like. We sort of got more of that in the prelude, where we see the FBC technician working on that like alert station by Cauldron Lake. And then we get to see even more of that in the Lake House expansion, which I'm talking about later. And then yeah, Saga starts to work together with the FBC to fight Scratch, and we get to read more paperwork. I love the papers in this game. and also in Control. So yeah, I was loving this. Something I didn't talk about when playing Control was the character Ati.
What you leave behind, you find in front.
I don't know what's his deal, but he's kind of like this supernatural janitor for the oldest house, and he appears in Alan Wake 2, which is
Time is long.
very weird, I'll say. I really do hope we learn more about him in the upcoming Control sequel, because like what is his deal? Like what I genuinely loved the most about this game, with all of the things I love about this game, was the use of mixed media. It's so cool that they had like the voice actors for all of the characters also have physical acting roles as well, besides Agent Casey, who is played by the director Sam Lake.
David having problems. You needed a break. You and Logan moved to Watery and then Logan, oh, that awful thing happened. After you came back to work, I thought you'd be the perfect partner for this case, if you were willing to return to the area.
Okay.
The
That's
musical sequence in this game genuinely is the most wild thing I've ever seen, yet felt entirely necessary for the story.
So you were drawn to stories early on. My dreams would light up my imagination. And you had nightmares night and day. Yeah, but with the clicker, I chased those frights away. Who you? So true.
And then letting Alice only be portrayed in real life on video is very thematically pleasing, where Alan Wake, who is largely just his video game counterpart, it shows this like divide through the mediums that Alice is forever out of reach from Alan Wake. And it really just like made this, my A-level media studies brain work overtime. And then like the same thing with Saga Anderson, her only being shown in 3D till the very end when she herself gets thrown into the dark place. It's just like, my God, I am remedy pilled at this point, and I love art, and this game genuinely is art. Now, there's only like one major gripe I had with this game, and it's the Cynthia Weaver fight. I loved the concept of it, where in the first game, she was this beacon of light helping you to get the clicker, your ultimate goal in the game. And then in this, she's been taken, literally taken, and has become a taken. But the actual fight itself was broken, painfully broken, and it was just annoying to play. She constantly uses this shockwave attack, which the idea is to hide behind like pillars or like stand on these rocks, as it allegedly only affects the water. No matter what, it always hit me, no matter if I was on a platform, behind something. If I was on like some of the rocks in the arena, I would end up in this like repeating get up animation where I would just like constantly get up and down, up and down, up and down, and then I would eventually die. It was like very annoying. And then like the shadow projectiles were also, there's too many and they're too fast to hit all of them with your flashlight. That's a barking deer. Yeah, in this fight, I ended up using up all of my flares, and it was quite annoying, yeah. Yeah, and then at like the end of the fight, she eventually stops floating and then just kind of walks towards you, flailing her arms. And then she ends up taking more bullets than the normal enemies would. And then it just kind of felt this weird, I need to backpedal so I can reload as I shoot. It's like, it just felt bad. I don't know. All the other boss fights, they felt really good. Like, my favorite were the deputies, if only counting the base game. If we bring the expansions into it, Rose Marigold's Night Springs expansion, where you fight Alan Wake's evil twin brother, who is a werewolf, and his motorcycle is also a werewolf too. It's genuinely the stupidest thing I've ever experienced.
I was just jealous of his talent, his money, his velvety hair, but mostly that he's got the love of somebody as amazing as you.
Oh, you silly werewolf. And there he was. After all the fighting, we were finally alone, together. Our love was written in the stars. And so we danced like two spinning planets that would eventually crash into each other in a dazzling display of flames and rocks and other planet stuff. He told me all the sweet things I'd been waiting a lifetime to hear. I saw myself reflected in his eyes. I would always be at his side, to inspire and protect him. He needed me, now and forever. After all, I am his #1 fan.
But the Night Springs expansion was genuinely the perfect amount of camp needed after finishing the base game and the lake house expansion. Anyways, talking about the lake house expansion, what am I talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. To go into a bit more details about what this is genuinely, I think, one of my favorite DLCs of all time. Like, genuinely, what a sick DLC for Alan Wake 2. Like I just said, I really wanted to see what the FBC looks like in a normal situation, and we kind of, no, this is very much not that. It's once again the FBC, but in turmoil. But it really gives you a better peek into what it's like outside of the oldest house and like what has happened since the events of Control, since the oldest house is still very much on lockdown. We get to have even more notes and documents. My favorite thing. But in this one, you do play as an FBC agent, Kieran Estevez. So you get the perspective of what it's like for an agent of the FBC, seeing all of these paranatural things happening and how they deal with it. Really cool.
Where's the fucking elevator?
So the additional like paint monsters they had for this were genuinely terrifying. I almost swore right there. I already swore, so I don't know why I'm policing myself now. But I loved how it was like always like sneaking up on you on the walls, and then there were some that like are like fake monsters where they're still very much like the monster, but like they don't actually ever come out of the walls. So it's like you're always terrified of what's happening on the walls, and then they kind of fall like the weeping angel. I can be your angle or your devil. The weeping angels logic where they don't move unless you're not looking at them. So until they actually come out of the wall, and then at that point, then they're just chasing you down. Genuinely, it was terrifying. I do wish they pushed it a tiny bit more. If you get close to them, they'll try and like actually grab you from the wall. Cause what ends up happening is they have this like 1 to 2 second long animation of them crawling out of the wall with a sound effect. So by the end, they're all doing this. So you always have time to react. And then especially when you get the BlackRock launcher, it gives you more than enough time to fully charge it up and just immediately kill it. So yeah, so it's like the fear of seeing them on the walls kind of disappears at that point. It did just feel like a tiny bit undercooked gameplay wise. Needing to fight them off only using the BlackRock launcher, I did like. Before getting the BlackRock launcher, it really did feel that sense of terrifying dread, suspense, because you never actually know how to fight them off until you get the BlackRock launcher, and then it's just they become like a non-issue. It's just like the monsters themselves, gameplay wise, they never really scared me. The designs of them really did the heavy lifting. However, it was like, yeah, it was quickly trivialized by the BRL. Yeah, my favorite part, of course, is the story. I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't for the story. How the lake house and like what went wrong was really cool. A researcher, wife and husband becoming co-heads of this station, and then this growing resentment over each other, over accolades and credit of their research is like what fuels them further apart. They split the team in half and then the research floors in half, like the one where there's like the two almost jail cells, that one literally being cut in half. Really funny.
Finally,
Ultimately seeing it
someone
become
who was
like
in
a
the
game of
painting.
chicken with neither of them backing down, where one of them is creating a literal AI data center, large language model, fuck AI, based on Alan Wake's writing, and then the other pushing an old man into merging his own blood and sweat and then his actual soul into a painting because of how much he hated them. It's like, my God, the protagonist, Agent Kieran Estevez, at the end, saying that they were already monsters before they became taken.
The Marmots were monsters way before the shadow got to them. So at the end of the day, what's the difference?
And then witnessing the now taken version wife beating the taken husband to death with a rock and slowly and showing all of the details. I do very much agree with that assessment. Yeah, my review of just the DLC is a 9 out of 10. If you play Alan Wake, you should definitely play it after. You can play it, like they do give you a point to play it before you actually finish it, which I actually kind of like that they give you a point where to say it's like, oh, you can play the DLC at this point before you do like the final mission of the game. I do really like that. I ultimately decided to skip it and play it after I finished the base game. Anyways, back to Soaking Wet Me. Back to Alan Wake 2. I kind of already sort of, not really, spoiled Saga's story and that she ultimately ends up in the dark place. But I'm also going to be spoiling Alan's story at this point because there was some genuinely crazy foreshadowing that I kind of already mentioned, but like I desperately just need to talk about this. I partially hinted at it already, but the dark place is where all of the live action sequences are. If it's shown in live action, it's happening in the dark place. I'm getting really cold. All the characters excluding the sheriff, which that is kind of explained in the Night Springs expansion, they all get represented in live action in the dark place. If you remember, I said that Alice Wake is only portrayed in live action, which I said it as a way to show through the mediums that she is forever out of reach from Alan Wake. Part of the story for Alan in the dark place is he's trying to save Alice from Mr. Scratch, unknowingly that all of the actions he's doing to try and stop Scratch is actually him becoming Scratch and terrorizing Alice in real life and actually tormenting Alice, who escaped the dark place in the first game. And this tormenting Alan is unknowingly causing
eventually leads Alice to kill herself. Now, hold on to me for a second. Hold on to my soaking wet self. Something I noticed immediately when the sequence showing her jumping off a cliff, the cliff she jumps off of, in the background, you can very subtly notice that it looks like Cauldron Lake, which is the portal to the dark place. And then once the game ends and the credits conclude, there is one more tape from Alice confirming what I'm hinting at, is that she actually jumped into Cauldron Lake, faking her suicide basically to try and get Alan on this path to discovery. And she actually just and she actually jumps into Cauldron Lake, ending up in the dark place with Alan, meaning all of those recordings that we saw in the dark place were actually filmed in the dark place. And she's been there this entire time. And that's a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. I kind of had to do that. Anyways, this game, I don't know the words, I'm not a writer, but like this game genuinely made me passionate about it. And like I said, I'm Remedy pilled now, and recently on Twitter talked about their upcoming Control sequel, Control Resonance, and that it's a quote unquote unsafe sequel, and that is genuinely making me excited. I would continue that thought if, as of like a couple days ago, Remedy Entertainment has gone under a new CEO, who is an ex-EA executive, which does not fill me with any confidence whatsoever, as this new CEO has been talking about profit maxing the company. It really doesn't fill me with confidence. Anyways, I am freezing cold now. Thank you for watching, and also sticking around until the very end. I know this is like a crazy long video, so staying this late means a lot. Something that would be fun to mention, I guess, as I'm ending, is my backlog. I mentioned it last year when I was talking about Sable, and at the time I said that I had a 300 game long backlog. And I'll be happy to report that it went from 313 at the start of the year to an all-time low of 486. Yeah, in my defense, I did not purchase much games. These were ones that I already had existing in my libraries across multiple platforms, so Switch, Steam, Epic Games, GOG, and itch.io of the few free ones I had. And so this was me going through and being all inclusive. I went through including all the data, like when they released, where I own them, and most importantly, how long it takes to beat the game. I got that information from IGDB and how long to beat, which means I now know how long it'll take to clear my entire backlog of games that I currently own. And so this is the scary number. If I were to quit my job and start today while keeping about like 8 hours of sleep at night and then like 2 hours every day for a break to eat, so spread across the entire day. So imagine 24 hours minus 10 hours. It would take me a total of 551 days to beat all of them. Or in other terms, from the day of recording, which is the 25th of February, I would beat all of them on Monday, the 30th of August, 2027. And that is actually underselling it by quite a bit, as some games on my backlog don't even have time set on IGDB or how long to beat. So probably another 50 days, to be honest. Anyways, there is something I'm doing new this year, as I frequently go through like analysis paralysis, decision paralysis, knowing I have nearly 500 games I own, and I find it very difficult to decide what to start next. So what I did was create a schedule of sorts. Inspired by Daryl Talks Games, I created a simple table where I found the amount of games I play on average per month, and especially how much time, which was like about 40 to 60 hours a month. And so I added that many slots and added games to the list,
making sure the total hours equates to about that much. And I currently have 47 games on this list to play, and that will only take me about 600 hours, which is only 42 days in what I described earlier in that 24 minus 10 hours. That might be bad, as the total hours I played this year, not this year, in 2025 was only 400. So I only played games for 400 hours. So we'll see if this hurts me or helps. And since it's February, I thought it would be good to mention how it's going so far. It is going a bit rough, but there has been a lot of stuff happening in my life at the moment, especially with going to my dad's funeral and then having a lot of family and friends from around the world fly here. So I had to, more so I wasn't touching my computer often as I spent more time with them. And so already kind of fell behind, but now I'm kind of picking up steam. I'm gonna be probably a game behind entering March, but it should be fine. I'm currently playing Deltarune because I haven't played chapter 3 and 4 yet, so that's what I'm doing now. Yeah, anyways, I might change how I do things this year. Like if I do a video for a game once I finish it, if I feel it's worth talking about. I had that thought while writing this video, so God forbid another traumatic thing happens, I'll see about doing that, I guess. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next year, probably. Okay.